I wanted to show you. Remember the structural issues, you guys, okay? So I went over those. I'm not going to reintroduce those to you right now unless you need me to. But remember at the end of the last class we went over some structural issues here. So Cherry, I'm just going to show, because this will apply to everybody, not just Cherry here. So for instance, Cherry, we got this edge right here. Going, oh, it's a straight edge here. We got this edge going off into infinity somewhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can you see that? Can everybody see that? Yeah?
Yeah.
Yep. Now let's go over to its partner over here. Right here. Okay, that edge. It's parallel edge, right? Will those two meet ever back in the distance as they go back into the background?
No.
No, okay. So you got a lot going on here, right? You got value, you got scribble or parallel hatches, you got mark making, and you have all this other structural stuff too as well. So you can do this on the fly. All you have to do is come in, and I would just like one or the other. I would probably go over here and chop this away a little bit. You know, do some subtraction in here to get this angle correct here. This goes for everybody too. So this is the beauty of drawing, is you're creating a skeleton, and a lot of you focused a lot of time in doing that and not gone under the scribbles yet, you know, to create that skeleton, that outline. So you can see how I'm just adjusting that. So you could just go in the eraser and chop that away. Right? Do some subtraction there. It's carving, right? Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yep. So do you see that happening anywhere else in the drawing? Remember, check your own drawing out, because it's happening in a lot of you guys' work.
The second book on the bottom, the left
Mm-hmm.
pages part.
Mm-hmm. Right here, right? You're saying right there, right?
Okay. Oh, yeah. Right
Yep,
there.
yep. Now let's extend that into the background, into infinity, in the direction of some vanishing point somewhere. Now let's go over to its partner. You know, again, this edge right here is parallel to this one, right? So that's a little off. It's kind of getting a little wider, right? So if I were to project this out, those are getting wider as they move back in space, a little bit, right? That's a subtle thing, right? But let's go over to its partner over here, because everything's like parallel in books. That, as that moves back in space, and that probably wouldn't meet each other anywhere, right? They'd still diverge as they move backwards in space. So all you have to do to fix that is one of two things. Either change the angle of this line, or maybe the easiest thing to do, and the more appropriate thing to do, would change the angle of this a little bit to match the bottom one. You could just parallel those things, right? And then this one, chop that in a little bit. Right? So the book would look more like that. Okay? Again, this is not just, you know, pointed out in a lot of people's drawings, not just Cherry's. So that's going. Let's see if these two meet as they go back to the left. Will they ever meet somewhere way out to the right side of the drawing?
Yeah, no.
No, right. So, yeah, so this idea of perspective is really important. And how do we know that they should meet? We know they should meet because the closest point of this book to us, the viewer, is down here. That front corner. So as the book moves in this direction, it's getting further away from us. As it moves in this direction, it's getting further away from us. Okay, the plane of the book, right? So that's how we know that these lines should converge as they move back to the right in this case, and back to the left in this case. Okay? because this is the closest. So logic will help you figure out perspective in that regard. That's why we kind of hit it heavy at the beginning of the semester, okay? So let your logic help you out in this drawing, okay? Now there's a lot going on, right? Because now you have to you're worrying about creating a correct cast shadow, you're worrying about creating overall tonality, you're worried about parallel hatches, you know, there's a ton of stuff going on in this drawing. But that's why I'm ramping up the difficulty factor for you guys, right? Okay. And you can always change a drawing, for the most part. You might make this a little bit bigger too, okay? Maybe you could expand that just a little bit more. I know we talked a little bit about that. Just a little bit, give it a little more presence. Looking good though. Yep.
Okay.
Yep, looking real good. Anybody have any questions about the structure of their drawing? Before I move on to my spiel here. Remember, I went over it right at the end of the, so hopefully you're taking literal notes or mental notes. Because when I see it, I'll hold your feet to the fire. You know, I can remember these things, or maybe I won't remember them, but I'll see them in the drawing, right? So, so I will note that there are those structural issues, you know, like we just talked about with cherries, right? So, okay. No questions about, and nobody has any questions about their structural issues? No? Okay. Good. So now let's talk about how to develop the drawing, which will tie into your good question, Cherry. In terms of these tonalities, how to kind of keep the drawing developing in such a way that you're not getting ahead of yourself. You're not getting out over in front of your skis, as they would say, right? So that you take a nosedive and the skis get caught in the snow, right? You want to, your desire is to, early on in the drawing, open this up, takes a while for some reason. How it look like that finished, you know, really beefed up contrast, dark darks, light lights, you know, all this stuff that you really want in a drawing, right? That's 10 hours into this block pumpkin drawing, right? So that's a lot of layers of mark making and subtraction to get to that point, all right? This is a 5-hour mark, okay, right there. And you guys haven't even reached this mark yet, the 2.5-hour mark, okay? So you can see if you're working a couple things. If you're trying to push the contrast too fast in your drawing, you get out in front of your skis, as I mentioned, okay? It should, and I'll get to this in a second, but your drawing should have these kind of, just these very light tonal relationships. No white areas, by the way. I'm covering the whole format with very light marks endlessly, and then starting to subtract a little bit, but very light, delicate marks. And no super dark areas either. Okay? I would say at the end of your drawing, maybe something like this. Just this light, a little bit darker, but still light quality to the drawing. Okay? Sorry about my dog. Probably you're not going to get to this in the drawing. If you get to this, if you want it to be, if you're pretending it's going to be a 10-hour drawing, we can really beef up the contrast in your drawing, it's not going to look right. It's going to look rushed and hurried and awkward and all those things, okay? So let it be a 5-hour drawing. There's truth in advertising, right? Don't lie to the viewer and don't lie to yourself. If you want to make a 20-hour drawing of this, a 30-hour drawing of this, a 50-hour drawing of this, you can get super realistic eventually. You start kind of rubbing stuff away more and kind of coming in and show texture of the block or whatever you happen to be drawing. But you don't have that much time in this drawing. And believe me, people spend that much time on a drawing, particularly super realists. So try to keep a vague overall quality to the drawing. So what I did is I went in and I'm going to pull these up so you guys can see them. I took your setups and I created a blurred monochromatic relationship between what you're actually seeing in real life and what your drawing is starting to tell you. So what happens is the novice, the students, the people who are learning how to draw, get so enamored by what they're seeing that they lose sight of actually what the drawing is demanding. Okay? So at a 2.5 hour to 5 hour point, I'm just going to pull up images here. Tonality wise, that's probably what the drawing is going to look like. I'm going to send each one of you your own image here, okay, so you can kind of see it. So you can kind of imagine this as a drawing, right? Minus the hatching and all that stuff. This monochromatic revelation of shapes and forms and value shifts along edge to create that sense of atmosphere, of reality, but it isn't the apple in the books. It's a version of it. It's an interpretation of it. So you got to use the tools at your disposal, which is value, line, right? Relative value, line. You know, in this case, cross-hatching. That's our technique. That's our process that we're trying to get you to embrace, and many of them, right, to create activity. Now, if I could overlay a filter on top of this with crosshatch little kind of implications, that would be what your finished drawing would look like, maybe 2.5 hours to 5 hours in. The unfortunate thing, your eye is seeing all that color, all that relative contrast, that high key stuff, the reality of the book and the apple, etc., etc. But the drawing is demanding this, okay? It's demanding you see the image in a different way. Okay, so I did each one of you guys. I hope I didn't miss anybody. If I did, let me know. So see, you know, because it's just graphite on a sheet of paper. So you're dealing in these subtle values of light and dark, transposing, interpreting the world of color and the world of actual objects to the world of value shifts along edge. So hopefully these will kind of give you an idea. Notice there's no crisp edges in these, right? I put a filter on it, a blur filter, because I don't want you to kind of get into the detail yet, okay? I'd get too crisp with your edges. Let those edges blur a little bit. It's okay. At the beginning of the drawing, that's what I'm talking about. So it goes back to your question, Cherry, of the idea of why those shadows don't feel real. Well, they don't feel real right now because you're trying to kind of stop them too early. You know, you're not allowing the rest of the marks around them, the foreground, to kind of have a presence as well, right? So there's this imbalance in the drawing in terms of attention, right, that the artist has given to the cast shadow versus the non-cast shadow area. But if you gave equal attention by adding and subtracting to the non-cast shadow area and kind of let those marks merge into one, all of a sudden it integrates everything in the drawing. Not only the cast shadow versus the non-cast shadow, but the edge of a book versus the background. Okay. So hopefully you can kind of, when you see these things, you can imagine those as you're drawing, and hopefully that will. Now see how the photograph interpreted this, Shakira. Look at how, just the filter I had on, the black and white filter, darkened the green. Okay. Mm-hmm. But that might be a way to figure that out, right? It's hard. Your eyes seeing green versus white paper of the background, right? And they're pretty close in tonality, but the filter I had on, darkened the green and made the background lighter. That might be a way to figure it out. Or you could, because you were kind of stuck between, how dark to make this area.
Yeah,
versus,
like which one is dark?
Yeah, I know, because you're seeing color, right?
Yeah.
So it's trial and error, right? You got to kind of figure it out through trial and error. But hopefully these will help you guys figure that out. They help you start to be able to see those tonality issues. Okay. Now use this photo I'm going to be sending you guys as a source. I still want you to look at the actual objects when you're drawing them, okay? But you can use it as kind of an idea of how to develop this drawing. I'm just going to kind of rush through these. You guys get the idea, and I'm going to send all of you the images. But it just gives you a sense, I think, of how to interpret the world of color into the world of value. And notice that I blurred it as well, because I want you to understand that to finish a drawing, you do it at the end, not the beginning, right? So if you're trying to get too cute with the edges of things too early on in a drawing, I know, Andy, you have the bottle there now, but I don't think I had an image of that. Too crisp. So along with interpreting color, you're also got to be disciplined in terms of interpreting edge and not rushing the drawing in that regard, okay? Sean, are you using a lamp here?
Yeah, I was using a lamp there. I didn't have a lot of natural light coming in there.
No, that's okay. That's okay. I have one suggestion. When I was looking at this, I noticed you still got a little bit of backlight there. I don't know if you could take the lamp that you're using and move it towards us more. That will create a light across this thing over here, this tassel.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And so instead of this whole area being dark here, that'll project a light maybe across here a little bit more, so you get a little bit more left to right. And it will highlight the left side of the book versus the right side of the book. See how they're kind of in the same value right now?
Yeah.
So it's just a way to create a little more dimensionality there, okay?
Okay.
Yeah, so just pull that lamp if you can. I don't know if it's a standing lamp or a table lamp, but pull it out more so that you're almost getting, not quite, but almost getting as you're drawing it, a front to back with emphasis on the left to right lighting situation rather than a back to front. Still left to right emphasis, I understand it. So you switch your emphasis from back to front, from front to back. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You don't need to change your setup at all. You know, it's just because you're so early on in the drawing that you'll be fine with that. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So that'll, I think, lead to better value relationships as you develop the drawing. Okay. I just went through the email list as I saw it just to make sure that I could see, that I got everybody's work. If I didn't, let me know here. So you can kind of see how the filter I had interpreted this green much brighter, right? In this case, right? So I guess it all depends on the type of green and everything. So you can see now, and it is this way. That green is much brighter than this area in the background. This is lit very nicely, Tasha. So in your drawing, Tasha, that would be a highlight, and you'd have to kind of spend a lot of time darkening and playing around with kind of manipulating this background, right? So that would give you a nice light. Look how even this disappears a little bit, the back edge of the book, right? There's that idea of letting go of edges if you need to, right? So if I saw a drawing that looked like this, that had these really subtle value shifts and that, maybe it was some cross-hatching in, I'd be blown away by it, right? It's just kind of, oh, that's cool. It's just like mysterious and, again, that's what we're doing here. We're creating art. So our job is not to exactly duplicate reality, all right? But it is an interpretation of reality, and that's where students get stuck, is that they are so hard-pressed to kind of duplicate reality that they overcompensate, okay? Okay, so you can kind of see, right? This is 7. You're not going to get anywhere near that, right? But in terms of time spent, so there's the 10-hour version, right? So yours is going to be more like that, probably the 5-hour version, which is cool. That's, I kind of prefer that, actually. I maybe spent too much time on this, but it's okay. I was, trying to prove a point to students here, but, I like that version every bit as much, probably, I guess. That's a nice version, too, but... So you get my point, right? And go back and review, on your own here a little bit if you want to, the process, okay? So you know, I pulled some, you know, went back to the, you know, you got all these videos, right, that kind of over time show how these drawings were developed. Okay, so it's going to require you guys to do a lot of don't be too careful. Okay, as you develop the drawing, move quickly. Lots of marks, lots of erasing. All right. Just move around the thing. Foreground, background. Don't get caught up. Like over here, see the cast shadow? Now, that's almost not there at that point, right? There I'm putting some more lines in there, but I'm not obsessed about the transition, you know, and then I undid it, right? It was like too much. And I undid it to integrate it into the foreground a little bit, okay? So when you do undo, don't just leave things alone. Use that eraser to go in and undo things, okay? It's really important with this technique, okay? Go over everything with the eraser. Take your eraser and rub everything out and go back and restate the whole drawing. I'm not saying erase the whole drawing, but mitigate it, you know, kind of blur it a little bit, okay? That's a really nice technique to use. Take the side of your eraser and kind of rub over everything. It's integrating stuff. It's not, you're not going to get rid of it. It will still be there, okay? It's just that it will integrate the whole drawing. And you can look at your drawing and understand if you've gone too far with edges, if it's too crisp, if the contrast is too much at this point. So I'm going to rely on you to kind of take a look at those videos as I, you know, I have offered them to you, to think about how to kind of progress the drawing as well. Okay, any general questions here? I'll send to those individual images.
I think you forgot my image.
Okay, there we go. Oh, that we're back to. I didn't look for Blake Cook on my. Let's see here.
No worries. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, I won't. I'll do it up and I'll send it to you. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
When I was looking at the emails, right, I saw that I couldn't see yours, so then I kept going to the other students, and then I didn't go to myself, which is under my name, because I had to resend it to myself. You know, we've been through that, so sorry about that, Esther.
No worries.
Okay, I'll do that and I'll send it right to you. Okay, thank you for pointing that out. I appreciate it. Okay, any other questions or concerns? Less is more here in terms of finished image. Okay, more is more in terms of the number of marks and energy you put into the drawing and subtraction, right? Okay, so keep those two things in your head. Work the whole drawing. Don't focus on any. If you find yourself focusing on one area more than 20 seconds, that's wrong. Go the opposite area. I'm working on the front ends of the book here. Go over to the background here, the next move. Go over to the background here. Constantly create this cross-referencing in your drawing in order to create a sense of consistency, right? That's a beautiful thing in art, a sense of kind of wholeness, okay? One of the most difficult lessons for students to learn. Okay, so here's the rundown. 2:20. Send me an image at 3. .30. Next image at 4:30. And then the last image at, so write that down. Or let's say first image at 3:30. Second image at, 4:30 is fine, 4:30. And last image at 6. All right. So I'll have 3 images of you as you develop this drawing. Okay. Then it's up to you to take, the breaks you want to take, whatever. But don't take too long. Kind of keep moving with the drawing, I guess is what I'm saying. So we won't meet. What I'll do is I'll I'm going to figure out a way to share everybody's drawings today as we work on them. So kind of keep checking back to your email, and I'll leave it up to you to push these drawings. I'm not going to get in the way of you working these drawings. Okay. I'm not going to. Shakira dropped out there for a second. I'm not going to get in the way of you working these drawings. So the critique, I'll give you the oral critique when I tape record my message to you. Okay. So so we won't be critiquing him anymore today. Shakira, did you get the times that what I want you to do? I don't know if Shakira did.
Yeah, my computer shut down and
Okay.
kicked me off from Zoom. So I got 3:30, 4:30, and 6 o'clock. Is
Yeah,
that right?
yeah, 6 o'clock. If it's 6:15, if you want to take it 6:15, that's fine as well. But what we'll do is I'll just send you emails. We don't even have to meet at the end, okay?
Oh, we're not meeting anymore.
No, I don't think so. I think we could. I just want to leave it up to you to finish these drawings, okay?
Okay.
Based on all the information I've given you. So you have all the videos of we've created. You got the lectures. You got the videos I created in terms of how to approach this process. We got this little kind of bit of lecture here at the beginning of the class, talking about developing this in a very subtle way. We're not going to build up the values to as dark as they would be if they are a 10-hour drawing, et cetera, et cetera. Use my examples as a way to figure out the value how dark you need to take things. I would say the finished drawing needs to look like it's been a little bit of gauze is covering it, right? It's like in a little bit of a fog, okay? So that means you're going to have to do some erasing to get back to these neutral values, okay? Work everything all at once. And then I'll just do the traditional critique that I have been doing in terms of sending you a tape recorded message, okay? And then we'll start a new piece. Bring your paper bag on Tuesday, okay? Because I just want to give you the rest of the day to work on this. So bring your paper bag on Tuesday, and we'll start the charcoal and your charcoal materials and all that stuff for Tuesday's class, and that'll be the end of the session. After that, okay? Next week will be the end of the session. So, okay, but I'll be in touch with you today, email-wise. Okay, so keep checking your email. Okay.
Okay.
Sound good? All right. Okay. Steady
Thank
workers.
you.
Steady work. Okay. All right. Oh, use that straight edge. Keep the straight edge in your other hand. Okay. All right. Okay. Both when you erase and when you mark. Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Fast. Work quickly and lightly.
Okay.
Got it.
All right. Okay. See you guys.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.